use your hands? That's like a baby's toy.
I'm totally Batman.
Oh, man.
Shh. Communing with the earth spirits.
Welcome to California, bud.
Cowabunga.
The world of magic.
And after that, I just sort of space out for about an hour.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Secondary Heroes podcast. We're talking about the Muppets Haunted Mansion, which is the brand new Disney Plus release. And this is your host, Trevor, and joining me as usual is...
Hey guys, it's Prague.
And it's spooktacular! DeLorean Wolfgang, what's up, y'all?
And we have a special guest joining us this week.
I'm Jared. Hello.
Just Jared? Nothing
Just Jared.
fun?
What do you want me to say? What do you want? Jared Muscarella, also known as Sad Sidekick.
Sad sidekick. That's right. So Jared actually was, whenever we used to do the Artist Alley series, back when the pandemic was at its highest, we had Jared on. He painted some you painted a ukulele for us that night.
Yep.
That's right.
But for whoever commented.
But the reason why we're having Jared on tonight is because he is a Muppets expert. Expert? Don't
forget that X.
It's not like espresso.
Oh, God, I could use one of those right now, let me tell you, friends. But we're really glad to have you on because you're going to have a lot more insight into the world of the Muppets that I don't know if we really do have. So,
Maybe
we'll
find
breed.
out.
Welcome to the home of fear and fright, where not all guests survive the night. The lucky souls will live to tell, and those who don't will rot in.
What's the matter with you? You can't say that. This is a family show.
What are you doing?
Welcome, foolish Muppets, to tonight's very special Halloween challenge.
We just have to survive the night in this haunted mansion.
Everything here will seem familiar, but your eyes may deceive you.
Whoa.
I'm mysterious, Madame Pagoda.
Wait, stop.
Turn it down. I can't hear myself think.
Take 5, everybody.
Where are you going? No.
Happy Halloween.
This place is really haunted.
Fiends, omens, and bogeymen, lend me your fear.
It's showtime.
Usually I'm worried about dying up here, but looks like you beat me to it. Don't you have anything better to do than boo me?
Tough room.
Ooh, indoor lightning.
I'm not a shrimp.
Close enough. Shaka waka!
If by sunrise you fail this endeavor, then you must remain here forever.
I'm out of here! How did you...
I could just eat you alive.
That's sweet, right?
Muppets Haunted Mansion, streaming exclusively on Disney Plus.
so where are we starting, fellas?
Well, like usual, hopefully you're a Secondary Heroes fan, and if not, welcome aboard. We're going to talk about our spoiler-free review of this show. It's about 52 minutes, but I think that's with credits, so it's about 45 minutes. So it's not a usual movie. It's more like our one-episode reviews of similar Disney Plus shows, because if you haven't been following, we're a Disney Plus podcast at this point. I don't know what's going on with that.
Changing much, are we?
So, again, spoiler-free reviews, and then we'll dive in deeper to spoil this, twist-filled, enticing drama that it was.
Agreed.
So who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I actually I had fun with it. I found myself laughing at a lot of it. I felt like when I started it, I kind of realized I needed to dumb down myself a little bit for it. When I think about the Muppets, I think about like the classic ones where you really don't need to dumb down. Like, for instance, Muppets Christmas Carol. That's where I was really getting vibes I was hoping that this was going to be at the level of Muppets Christmas Carol. For me, it did not hit that level. Like it was I still had fun with it, but at the same time, like it was not at a Muppets Christmas Carol level for myself. So you know what? And I'll just leave it at that, and I'll get into the spoilers later.
So you enjoyed it, but it wasn't great, is what you're saying.
It's not great. And the whole time the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, is this something that I'm gonna make a staple for Halloweens in the future?
Okay.
Yeah, for spooky season, Halloweeny. Is this something that I want to make something that I'm gonna watch year after year, like Christmas Carol? I will watch the Muppet Christmas Carol every year. This. Not too sure. This is more of a once, maybe every 5 years for myself.
Gotcha. All right.
I'll leave it at that.
All right. Trevor.
Prague. Or
Okay.
Trevor. Either way.
I'll go, since
oh, boy.
For me, I felt like it was a good Haunted Mansion thing, but it was a bad Muppets thing. And so I liked all the Haunted Mansion parts of it, but the Muppets parts I felt like were lackluster, and I think part of it is that it just so much focused on Gonzo, and he's not necessarily the main character, and everyone else were just like cameos within the context of Gonzo's kind of like self-discovery or whatever. And so, again, I liked all the Haunted Mansion parts. I felt like it was, to Alex's point, dumbed down. I felt like it was more like a kids movie that you would see if they tried to redo like 90s Nick things as live action. That's how it felt like. They was really overly simplified with everything they did.
Yes. Even the jokes were very super simple. Anyways, sorry. I didn't mean to jump back in.
No, I mean that's it.
You raised an interesting point. So my take, I don't know how to put this. It was not great, but I think that for the last 20 years, obviously things have not been great because Jim Henson passed away, and now Frank Oz is not doing anything for them. So I felt like they kind of lost their way of what the Muppets were supposed to be, and I felt like this team understood the Muppets, but didn't have, I don't know, enough of the craft, enough talent. To your point, the writing was dumbed down, and if you watch any of the original stuff, like the Muppets were really for adults, and it was kid friendly, but it was for adults. This, I felt like it was for kids, and there's maybe some jokes in there to like nod to and wink to the adult, but the writing wasn't as great as, say, the older ones. So for me, it was fun, like a fun little tie-in to combine the Haunted Mansion with the Muppets. I like that idea a lot. It makes sense for Disney to do that for this time of year. But to Trevor's point, and I didn't really think about this until he mentioned it, but I think it would have been better, as much as I like Gonzo as a character, to have had more of the Muppets involved as the main characters rather than it focused just on the one character. So that was it. I'll probably never watch it again.
Jared,
Sorry,
as
Jared.
the Muppets expert, I'm very curious of how you felt about this. And don't get into any spoilers because this is spoiler-free territory right now.
Well,
For now.
I liked it, but again, I'm a Muppet fan. Like I do,
Sure.
done all the research, have all the history books on all of them, and even psychology books based on Muppets theories. Like I love all that stuff. I liked it because I like that Gonzo got his own story, because he's always been the secondary character, and I think that if you try to add everybody in at once, you'd have, instead of like a 45-minute little episode, you'd have a Muppet Christmas Carol episode, like an entirely extended long version. And Disney right now won't do that with the Muppets, because the Muppets TV series bombed after a season. Muppets Now bombed because they tried doing it like Jim Henson did. It was for adults. Back in the day, it was for adults. It had kids humor. Like I loved watching the old 70s. Didn't get the jokes, just loved watching the characters.
Sure.
And then now watching as an adult, I'm like, oh, that's the joke. That was hilarious. Totally get it now. Right. But so since they've bombed twice, like with the Muppets and Muppets Now. They're trying to go back, and from what I know, because the show I just did, I worked with Muppet puppeteers, who worked for Jim Henson and Brian Henson. So even they said the same thing talking with them about it was, they want to bring it back towards kids because trying to bring it to adults now, it's not selling. It's not doing anything because Disney has focused the Muppets directly towards children. Nothing else.
Which is weird because you would think that they would want to try to capture that audience that once upon a time were big Muppets fans when we were kids. I mean, look at what they've done with Nickelodeon did it with Rocko's Modern Life. They're doing it with all kinds of other, not saying that Rocko's Modern Life did all that well when they brought it back to, what was it, Netflix? I feel like there's an audience for Muppets, but it's just so hard to capture. And the problem is like right now, like people can't wrap their heads around getting away from their cell phones for 10 minutes or for an hour to watch a Muppets movie. Like, and I think that social media has really hurt a lot of this stuff that like we're all nostalgic about, because when we watch our TikTok videos, we're constantly sliding it, to moving to the next one. It's hard to really sit down and concentrate for that. So maybe it is smart for them to go after the kids crowd. Maybe it isn't made for us anymore.
How dare you say that?
It's not.
It really isn't.
I like it, but
no.
It's people our age now, like in their late 30s, 40s, who grew, my parents grew up, they were already parents when the Muppets came out. So they were like, oh, this is cute. They thought it was humorous. Like, I'm the only one out of 5 who was ever obsessed with the Muppets. Like, why do puppeteering? Why do all this fun stuff? Well, I've got a junk load of my puppets back there. But they're rare now. Muppet fans are very rare. And I think Disney's smart this way to just do these little tiny episodes. Like, we're going to do Haunted Mansion, which still is a better Haunted Mansion than the Eddie Murphy movie.
Oh my God, yes.
That's the big takeaway, yeah.
So
that's the big takeaway, yes, exactly.
It's better than Eddie Murphy's Haunted Mansion, for sure. Like,
which is weird because Eddie Murphy can turn anything into gold, and he just couldn't do it with Haunted Mansion.
But I know we're not talking about that one. But one thing I really did like, and I don't think this is a spoiler, is that a lot of characters you haven't seen since the original Muppet show, you see. And I like that you see them as ghosts. So to me, that was the nostalgic part.
That's kind of cool, yeah.
Sure. Oh yeah, it was fun to see a lot of those characters again.
Yeah, and it wasn't from just the Muppet Show, it was also from Muppets Now. Right. I'm like, I remember that guy when I used to watch Muppet Now. Holy, there he is. And I kind of, one thing I didn't care about was, and this is me being a Muppets fan, I miss Rizzo the Rat in it. Because
okay, I that was something I was gonna bring up later, but if we want to bring it up now, yes. Why do we not have Rizzo the Rat?
I don't know what happened. Like, he was, when they did Muppets from Space, which wasn't a big box office hit. I liked it because it was a Gonzo movie. They gave Gonzo his own film, had all the characters, which is great. But it was Gonzo, Rizzo, and Pepe. They brought all 3 together, and it was mostly, and I loved it because it gave Rizzo his own scene. He goes, because we met him in Muppets Take Manhattan when we originally met Rizzo. And I just loved him in it. He's New Yorker. He's from New York. He's got the quick wit, the quick lines, doing funny things. And in Muppets from Space, they gave him and Pepe a team. They made, the 2 of them a team. And then when the Muppets came out, Rizzo just disappeared. It was like, oh, we don't want him anymore. And I never understood.
Muppets Christmas Carol was Gonzo and Rizzo. Yeah, and Rizzo was great in that. But and here's the thing with Rizzo and Pepe, they're so interchangeable. Like, they're so very similar as being that like side character to Gonzo that like you almost like, while I was watching this, I totally forgot about Rizzo, and then by the end of it, I'm like, wait a second, where was Rizzo?
He popped in for once. I mean, he was in it for like half a second, and it kind of bummed me out because I'm like, I'm glad Pepe's getting it because Pepe's funny.
Oh, he's fantastic. Pepe's great.
think they got him going on Good Morning America, Pepe, like the performance Pepe and stuff. And I watched the clip. I was dying laughing because, even on Muppets Now, they had Pepe and he was just funny because he has a thick accent. He purposely makes fun of, they make it so he messes up people's names, just doesn't care because he's bigger than he thinks he is. He's a king prawn.
King prawn. We'll get to that later too.
But yeah, I was bummed that Rizzo wasn't in it. And just because I think if they added him with Gonzo and Pepe, because he does do the freak out, like in Muppets Christmas Carol, the actor who played Rizzo spazzed out so beautifully as him. Every freak out, you felt it. And I'm like, that would have been hilarious just to see Rizzo losing his mind.
Well, and for it being a haunted house, you would think, what an opportunity to have a rat running around a haunted house.
Exactly.
But you know what?
Scurrying,
Before we jump into any spoilers or go any farther, let's do some socials. People, you can find us over at crossthestreamsmedia.com. You can listen to all of our episodes. You can rate and review us over there. You can leave voicemails where you can talk to us and let us know what your opinions are about the show. You can leave us your spoiler-free. Yeah. We've heard it before. But if you don't want to go to Cross the Streams Media, you can go to all of our social channels at Secondary Heroes everywhere. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can like and review. And honestly, if you hit that like button, it's great for that YouTube. What is it? It's an YouTube algorithm. No? Not a Space Jam thing anymore?
No.
Once an episode. You guys get dark, I get
in the same
part. So check us out, like, subscribe, do all the things. Hey, if you head over to even your iPhone app where you listen to podcasts, leave a review over there because that also helps us. Because honestly, all this is free for you and it's priceless to us. Now, let's get into those spoilers.
All the spoilers for this
Spoiled.
Spoiled for a spoiled
this lengthy movie.
I like the music. I like that Darren. I like the songs. I thought they were cute.
So that was one of the things I was gonna put down as I did not care for.
Oh no.
Oh, I'm also nostalgic because Ed Asner was in it. Even though he didn't speak, that was the last.
I know it was fun to see Ed. I'll admit it was fun to see it. I think Darren Criss was misused. I think that he was kind of like we saw him for that beginning part, and he's very talented. I think he could have been Will Arnett's character.
I think so too. I agree with that.
But that's okay.
Will
you got
Arnett
him there.
was fantastic.
Anyways, yeah, I feel like the song, they're fine. Like, I wasn't offended by the songs. I enjoyed them. They're fine. But they weren't memorable. They're not ones that are going to be stuck in my head. They weren't very catchy and, fun. They were just there. Like, they existed.
The one thing I've hated about this show was Kermit the Frog's voice.
Oh my God!
Thank you. Yeah, that was my number one.
That was it because the guy who used to do it, Steve, I forgot his last name, became a monster. He became a drama queen. He wanted his wife or his girlfriend to be involved and get credits and all this, and they just fired him. But he was the original Kermit since right after Jim Henson died.
Yeah,
Steve Whitmire. And I guess from what I've heard, he just became a monster. And the new Kermit, I'm like, did you guys not hold rehearsals?
No, they didn't. They found somebody I don't know. Yeah, the Grip. Come here. Get over here.
We do better. My boss does Kermit's voice for fun. We had Kermit offs when we were doing Star Wars. That's what we would do for fun. He'd win, but I'm like, I do a better Kermit.
Right.
And I have no. What the fudge is going on?
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, look at this guy catching himself. Less editing for us.
No, I agree. That was one of my big takeaways. So maybe it's a good thing that Kermit wasn't one of the leads in this.
He sounded like he had a cold. Like he had a cold the entire time, and it just drove me insane. So I was happy. I was like, oh. I mean, I liked. Yeah, that was the one thing I absolutely despised about it was just Kermit's voice.
I 100% back that up. While I was watching, it just drove me nuts. Because anytime that he was on screen, because they even tried to do the And even that was better than what was on screen, because the guy who played him I just didn't feel Kermit. I didn't feel like it was Kermit. It didn't even seem like he was trying.
No, it seemed like he's like, I gotta do this. I need a paycheck. Just give me the script. I'll do it. Let's just do this real quick. Put me in my green suit so you don't have to see me. I'm good, thanks.
Yeah.
Ah! I feel bad, man. I feel bad because, I mean, Kermit's the face of the Muppets. And it's almost like they didn't spend enough time trying to find a guy to encapsulate that.
Exactly. Disney gave up on trying to find a good one.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Again, this movie was made for kids.
Yeah.
Like, it was made for kids, so kids don't know what the real Kermit actually sounds like.
Nope. Well, they now have the Muppet Show on Disney Plus, so if you're a good parent, you'll let your kids watch it.
And do they have the Muppet Babies as well? I want to say that they revamped the Muppet Babies.
Disney revamped them, but not our Muppet Babies. They can't.
I love the Muppet Babies.
They're not allowed to show it because of copyright.
No way. Oh my
Well, Jim
goodness.
Henson had a very big mentality of do and then ask forgiveness. And so he was with George Lucas when he did, because George Lucas worked on The Labyrinth and also helped out with Dark Crystal. So he used a lot of Star Wars, which is fine, but he didn't get like Spielberg's permission for Indiana episodes when they were in the Muppet Babies or Frankenstein. So all the scripts, you have to find bootleg versions on eBay.
Well,
I did
hold
not
on,
know that.
But Star Wars was in the intro of Muppet Babies. Like,
that's why they can't use it. Right.
And, oh my god, and Indiana Jones was in the intro.
Yes.
Oh, that's so funny. Just missing that DeLorean. If only they had the DeLorean in the intro of Muppet Babies. Perfect.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, I also miss Frank Oz. I wanted to point that out too, because I do miss his voice acting, and I know that he soured his relationship with Disney a bit for whatever. So it's a bummer because Miss Piggy is probably one of my favorite characters, but we'll get to that later.
Yes.
So what else? Was there anything else in the beginning of the episode? I'm a fan of Yvette Nicole Brown. I think she was fine in her job. What she did, she was in it briefly. I would say it was a hit and miss with the guest stars, but there's a few hits.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about the guest stars. Was there any like standouts for you?
I mean, it was nice to see Darren Criss, I guess, and Will Arnett's. I like Will Arnett, but I didn't think he did the greatest job.
Yeah, he was playing it up for children. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I want to say it might also just be like it was probably stuffy too. Like I feel like a lot of the shots were very close up, whereas if you watch older Muppet movies, like the camera's never that close all the time for the whole film.
So
the puppetry was so much better back in the day that you can like literally zoom out the entire way and see everything. And now it's like, oh my god, get the tightest shot possible, and maybe he was just hot and stuffy and long days. I don't know.
A lot of the actors, because puppetry with them, we're on the floor and we have stilts built up for the actors to walk the plane. So I know which side.
Exactly.
Yeah, so with them, that's why probably they did the whole zoom in close. Like, we don't want to have to add flooring in. Just
sure. I'm sure there's a lot of cost cutting. I think was happening in this too. I felt like this was almost a test for Disney Plus. Like, let's see how this works. Let's not spend a lot of money on it, because it felt to me at times like a Saturday Night Live sketch. Like, grab some cheap green screen, throw them in front of it, and if it works, and I think it will, because I think that the Haunted Mansion is a hot property, and I think there's a lot of kids that are going to be on there wanting to watch it. So,
well, here's the thing, like the Haunted Mansion, this is what was missing with the Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion, and I would rather watch this Muppets Haunted Mansion way over the Eddie Murphy one, because I actually felt like I was riding the ride.
Yeah,
like,
it felt like the Haunted Mansion.
It was scene by scene.
The Haunted Mansion.
Yes, it was scene by scene what the Haunted Mansion is, and I adore the ride just like millions of other people. We know the songs of the ride, we know the atmosphere of it all, and they captured the atmosphere, but the problem is a lot of the in-between was cheap.
Yeah, it was cheap. It felt like they were just throwing it together.
Yes, it felt very cheap. But everything else that like there were scenes where I'm like, oh my god, yes. Like right once they got into even the elevator scene or the elevator like the room stretching scene, absolutely adored that. I thought that was so fun.
That's one thing I liked about the elevator scene was the one thing I liked what they did was all the little props, all the little accent pieces were Muppets. So where you normally have a gargoyle was a Snoth and the Phenomena holding up the camera.
Right.
Which I love. That's the one thing I did appreciate about the show is just if you know it well enough, you're like, I know what that is. Like, I get that. I noticed the wallpaper. You know, I loved all that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, they even made a budget cut joke in the thing. So.
Which that's the one thing I do like that they did with all the Muppets movies was they always break the fourth wall.
Always. Yeah, it's fun. That's the best
what I like
part.
about it with Beaker and Bunsen. I love that comment.
Oh, yeah. I wish we had a bigger cameo.
Budget cuts.
So good. But, I mean, there was a lot of characters that could have had bigger roles in this movie because they would have fit the whole Haunted Mansion theme, but it wasn't utilized the right way. I don't know. But and at the same time, like I know that we said that, I think you said it, Prague, where you didn't like that it was kind of a Gonzo show.
I didn't hate that idea. I like all the Muppets. So
okay.
like
you wanted to see more characters. Okay.
Yeah, because I love Gonzo. He's a great character, but I don't need him to be the main character. The whole time. We already had that. So.
And that's true. Yeah, Muppets Christmas Carol. He was he was Dickens, Charles Dickens. Yeah, but at the same time, like I felt like they were trying to find the magic of that and just fell short on it. Yeah.
Yep, they did. Like they understood the assignment, they just didn't excel at it.
Yeah,
it feels like it's not even just a Muppets thing. I feel like this is a Haunted Mansion thing, and they're like, how do we make something that's Haunted Mansion? And they went through all of the things, like, do we do Star Wars Haunted Mansion, Marvel Haunted Mansion? They're like, what if we do Muppets Haunted Mansion? And that's what they just stumbled on Muppets, but it's mainly about Haunted Mansion, because all the Haunted Mansion stuff, to Alex's point, they nailed the like scene settings, the ride layout. It was all Haunted Mansion stuff. One of the best cameos is that Kim Irvine comes out, and so she has to wax Madame Pagoda's head. And so her mom is Madame Leota, and she actually reprised it to do the Welcome Back and all that stuff. So that's just like a fun aside to the Haunted Mansion. All the things were Haunted Mansion based.
Right. Yeah. And those worked.
It totally works. Yeah, and even the two old men, they were in a Haunted Mansion seat. Like that was the ride cart for the Haunted Mansion that they were sitting in rather than being in the balcony like they usually are. I mean, it's so hard to really figure out this movie because half of me is like, this was a lot of fun and I could see myself watching this with my daughter every year for Halloween. But half of me is like, it was cheap. Like if there was a little bit more to it, if there was a little bit more meat, you know what I mean? I felt like we were sucking the bones. Like, give us more meat on the bones.
Well said. Well said. Yeah, I agree.
Well then, I guess this is it. Hey, adios, y'all! I'm kidding.
Right.
We're still talking about it.
That was all. Yes, we are going to still talk about it. So, were there anything else that you guys like really liked though about the episode? Any positives?
The part where the ride pauses and they say we'll continue shortly. I just went on Haunted Mansion. Just that one was really good.
One of my favorites. That was probably the best part for me. Yeah.
Really good. Yes.
But
I like the being ghosted line. That was good too.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh."
Being ghosted line.
I love the ballroom scene, only in the beginning when they show all the Muppets dancing. Because that, even though that is in the Haunted Mansion, it's also a tribute to the Muppet Show where they would have a skit with them dancing to each other and just telling jokes.
Yes.
So I kind of like that. And most of the characters there were original Muppet Show that you don't see anymore. Of those characters they don't use anymore. And that's what I liked. I'm like, okay, there's your homage to, whatever the word is, to the Muppets.
Yeah, and it felt like that. It felt like the Muppets in that scene. Like, I got to go through each different character and their type and what they were saying to each other, and they're laughing with each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the fact that they used the
Muppet.
original Frackle style of the monsters were known as Frackles. So the fact that they brought all those creatures back, which you never really saw since like the first season of the Muppet Show, you see them now. And that's kind of like that too, because I'm like, okay, we're getting, that's one thing I enjoyed was like, kind of again, seeing like I remember seeing you when I was little. I totally forgot about that dude, and the characters that they didn't bring out. You're a door knocker. You're a candle holder. You're this or this. We're going to make these fun things for you. We're going to still pay tribute to you, but we can't give you a scene. We're going to make you ornate objects. And I like that.
Sure. No,
Nice.
I agree.
Yeah.
I like that too. What was another thing that I liked? I liked the scene with the mirror. Like, I think that was the only time I felt like it was genuinely kind of creepy. Like, it kind of had throwback vibes for me. Just
When
seeing him
Gonzo
get
got
older.
old?
Because it was all real and practical and fun. He got to see all his friends playing on the other side of the mirror. It had like this kind of weird. Like, if I were a kid, I was like 5 or 6, that would have like kind of creeped me out. Like, I would have thought about that for a long time as a kid. Like, what if I saw my friends and they couldn't hear me? What if I got old? Like, that kind of stuff, that psychological stuff. Yeah, I dig that.
It was surprising that it was psychological thriller based. It was only a couple minutes, but that's the haunt. That's the horror that actually got to Gonzo.
They should have done more of that. I was like, I like that. That was good.
So when I first started the when I first started the show, for some reason the first thing that popped in my head was these guys. I had a feeling that they were gonna go down more of a Shining route. Like, I was kind of feeling like, okay, Gonzo's gonna be cool and fun and stuff like that at the beginning, and then as it gets on and on and on, he's going to become more menacing. Like, for some reason, I thought this is just going to be a ripoff of The Shining. And that never happened. But there was a Shining moment, which is funny, that they still had the twins that are like, come play with us, Gonzo, forever and ever. Like, it's kind of cool that they still put a little bit of something in there. But I don't know why in the back of my head I was like, they're going to rip off The Shining here.
Of course. Yeah, they did. I like the Shining part though. I'm a Shining fan, so I was okay with that, I guess.
And they could have done more connections to horror movies.
And that's what I was expecting as well. Yeah, you would think that they would have done, like, even if they had like someone with a hockey mask run through the screen at one point. Like,
and maybe he was just playing hockey and it was freaking him out. Like, oh, you're just playing hockey. Like, that would have been fun.
Right. Yeah,
Like,
and then
no,
the
I'm just playing
goalie had like knife hands or something. Just something weird.
Right.
Just to throw, because Muppets are so bizarre. I mean, you can do almost anything.
That's their
with the
best
Muppets.
quality. Is that they're bizarre.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're bizarre, and you can do anything with them. And you can get away with it because they're Muppets. It's fun.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I almost forgot my one thing. So, another thing that I liked, I mean, it was fun, the whole, like, he's the, whatever his name is, Mr. MacGuffin, was his name? Like,
Mr.
oh,
MacGuffin.
yeah, okay, it's on the
red
nose,
herring.
whatever. But the red herring was Pee-wee, which I thought was funny. And what's even better was that there was a, like, kind of a blink and you would miss it, like, wink and nod to him in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. At the very end, the red herring pops out and says, au revoir, which is what he says to Simone when she drives away to visit Paris in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So, Pee-wee fans out there, pay attention.
When I saw
Au
Pee-wee,
revoir,
man, I was
Pee-wee.
expecting Paul Rubens to show up.
Oh, I knew you wouldn't. That was the red herring. That was the whole point. I was like, he's not going to show up, but at least they said that line from the movie, so if you're a fan of the movie, you would get it. I was like, thank you. That was fun. So, shout out to them for that line. Deep cut.
Now, Jared, as a Muppet fanatic, I'm just gonna call you a Muppet fanatic. I don't know what else to call you here. Like, what all did you like? Was there anything you would have liked to have seen more of in this episode? Or, God, I keep calling it an episode. It was so short that it felt like an episode, but it was definitely in a 1 hour movie.
Muppets
hour.
Matterhorn is coming soon.
To be honest, I would have loved to see more Piggy because that little bit she had.
Yes! Thank you. Sorry. I'm a Piggy fan.
Like, I love Piggy, and I mean the actor who does her voice is pretty close to Frank Oz. It's not great, but it's closer than Kermit is, which I appreciate.
Oh, way closer.
I don't know, like I feel like, like you said, they did the whole ride. Like you go through, she was this, and this. I would have liked to see more Piggy, and we could have cut a little bit more of Pepe and the bride out a little bit.
Yeah, that was a bit too long in the tooth.
Yeah, because he kept coming back to him. Like, totally understand. You need two separate storylines in every episode, every mini-series, whatever you want to call it. You need two separate storylines to keep the show going. Nobody's going to pay attention to one story. But I feel like there could have been just bring her in more. Like, have her freaking, when she sneezes, roll off the table. And kind of roll on the floor.
Or maybe she was miscast, and maybe she should have been the one to seduce Pepe.
So that was my thought too. What if she was the bride? That would have brought her in a lot more, and all of the dead husbands could have been just different versions of Kermit.
Just different frogs.
Because then you would bring in more of Kermit as well, because Kermit's kind of a staple of all of this. But yeah,
but here's the thing with Piggy's character, you couldn't bring her the bride because she hates Pepe in the series. She can't stand him. So
but that would make it perfect.
That would make more sense.
Because she's trying to kill him the whole time.
True. Well, that's true.
Right, she could turn away and be like, "Ugh," or something.
I did like all the husbands being again like Walter I love Walter when they created him for the Muppets. He was an original Muppet that took like 20 years since they made a new one. When they did the Muppets, loved him. I'm like, okay, finally they brought him back because he wasn't on any of the other series that bombed. So I was happy that he came back. And I love there was Johnny and his pet monkey, his sidekick monkey, and there all these other characters. So I like that, and I think you're right. If Piggy was the bride, they could have done the story where they were convincing her, "You got to marry him." She goes, "I'm just going to kill him." Right. Like I would have liked that better. You're right. That would have been good. Give him more Piggy and put what's her name's daughter in there. Give her that part as Madame Leona instead.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Because I love the paying tribute to her mom being in there, but sometimes no. Or I hate to say it, bring back what's her name from Eddie Murphy's Haunted Mansion. Shove her head back in there. She has she's got a good voice for it.
Shove her head
absolutely. Oh God. Oh, she was in Chucky.
She's in Chucky now. They had the series coming out with her.
Yeah. Yeah, she's fantastic.
She's got a good
voice.
With
names, so.
Lily? I feel like Lily something.
It sounds like a Lily. Yeah, I think she's Lily. Let's just go with it. Hey fans. Hey, tell us in the comments. Who was that?
Who's the bride?
Let us know.
Who's the bride?
It's gonna dawn on us. We're gonna be like 20 more minutes into this episode, and then it's gonna be like, oh wait, that's her name.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, hello, IMDb.
Right, exactly.
Jennifer Tilly, got it.
Tilly, not Lily. Tilly. Yes, you're right. Tilly.
Sorry, fans. I think I beat you to it. Actually, people are screaming in their cars, listening to us right now, going, "It's Jennifer Tilly, you morons!"
Idiots don't know anything.
I think I just woke up my kid screaming.
You'll know when your wife comes in.
It's interesting though that the bride, like, she's the only kind of arcing storyline of the Haunted Mansion. Like everything else, there's 999 happy haunts, but it's all based on Constant Hatchaway. It's her actual house. That's the mansion itself. So it makes sense that she would have the biggest role, but Miss Piggy in that role is so much better because Taraji P. Henson, she seemed like she overacted the role for no apparent reason whatsoever. And
she did.
I don't know why that's not just a Muppet in that sequence. If all the other husbands are Muppets.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, the humans shouldn't be always the main character. They should be
they're like the accent pieces. Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Like John Stamos had a good cameo.
Oh, perfect cameo.
I know, I almost forgot he was in it, but yeah, he was fun. It was like, that's what you're supposed to be.
The one thing I didn't like at the end of the movie were the hitchhiking ghosts. Because I feel like Disney was like, you know what? We're not making any more puppets. CGI their asses and their butts in there. Sorry. CGI their butts.
Donkeys. Yeah, a bunch of donkeys. Yes.
A bunch of donkeys. And we'll be fine. Because that's the only thing that really bummed me out. Like, who are your friends? What friends? And I'm like, oh, really, guys? We just...
I know.
Just did... put what is it? When Disney did all those Park magazine promos with the actors playing the characters, they had Jack Black, somebody else, and Will Ferrell, Jack Black, and the guy who was in from How I Met Your Mother, who was also in the Muppets, as the hitchhiking ghost. Why
Jason
not?
Segel, yes.
Yeah, Jason Segel.
Jason,
Yes.
why not freaking have them do it? Like,
Yeah, they could have been the three ghosts.
You just have them wave instead of doing a really bad CGI ghost in the background that looks like we can't even afford to put all their really go in detail on their clothes. Just slap it in.
And Jason Segel is a massive Muppets fan. Like, the fact that they didn't have, like, I mean, I would think that he would want to be in something like this. Like, I don't know.
Maybe they couldn't afford him.
The budget.
I don't know. Can't afford him. Nobody's seen him in, like, God, it feels like 10 years.
It's been a while.
That's fair.
What happened to him?
I don't know. Now I've got to look it up because
now we're all gonna be like, what
Jason
happened?
Segel. I'm a huge Jason Segel fan.
He did such a good job with the Muppets too.
Yeah, he really did. Well, here's the thing: is he loved and cared about the Muppets. Like, you could tell that he had like this affection for them, to where he wanted the Muppets to succeed. He wanted them to continue on. God, he even made his own Dracula Muppet scene in one of his movies.
Yeah, that's why he got the role in the Muppets, was because of that, for saving Sarah Silver, something like that, whatever.
Yes, that's
Saving Sarah Marshall.
Marshall.
Saving Sarah Silverman is
funny too.
It's a documentary.
It's forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Oh, what's happening to Saving? What happened to her? Was it Space Jam? Is that
Saving
what
Silver.
Oh boy.
I think I put 2 movies and a celebrity and mixed them all up. My bad.
Space Jam 2: A New Legacy is destroying stars
That's a
left and
fun
right.
show.
I'm all in it. If I could get more Sarah Silverman, dude, I'm all in. I love her.
I like a spinning wheel where you get one celebrity name, one movie, and it combines together.
Make a good show.
It would. Yep. Which one this time? Oh, that's fun. Anyway. All right. So any final thoughts on any other thing that you didn't like? Did like what you wish it would have been? Like what would you want to do next? Like, where do we go from here? Are they going to continue this? More rides like the Matterhorn, like you said, Trevor?
They're in talks to do crap. That movie. We all had to read it in high school.
Hatchet.
Of Mice and Men.
No.
Sorry, that was relevant.
The Great Gatsby. They're in talks to do the Great Gatsby.
Muppets Great Gatsby?
The Muppets Great Gatsby, because the licensing is up. It's about to be free range in the Great Gatsby. The 75-year mark is almost up. So the Muppets are, from what I've heard, Muppets are in talk to do that.
That'd be interesting.
Well, that's interesting because what company made the Leonardo DiCaprio Great Gatsby?
Fox.
Because I would think that would have held it with Fox for...
Well, Disney owns Fox.
Oh my God, that's right. Oh God, that's right. Never mind.
But they own. But even if they didn't, they can make grass. I can make a movie if I wanted to.
Gotcha.
It's just free.
Domain.
Right.
We all could make like a Frankenstein right now if we wanted to, or
I'm going to make a Frankenstein Great Gatsby crossover. It's going to happen.
I'd
With
watch
the Muppets.
With the Muppets. Yes, exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
If we were to give this movie a rating, what would you guys rate this movie from, let's say, 1 to 10 goofy Muppets?
Oh, a 6.
Wow! I'm pretty surprised it's that high for you.
Well,
I mean,
I enjoyed the goat part when the goat was screaming.
I was going to ask you about the screaming goat.
Yeah.
That one was kind
of. It was
low.
definite.
It was an actual jump scare. I actually jumped. I was like, oh, okay.
Okay, screw those ratings at the moment because there is definitely more to talk about this movie.
I guess so.
The goat was low on my list. I did not like the goat that much. I did not like him. Now, but
I thought he was one of the best characters.
But I thought that it was funny that you brought up jump scares because I felt like they tried. They were trying to do jump scares throughout the
times.
whole show.
A few times, here and there.
I
enjoyed the ghost Muppets too, like the actual Muppets that were like the sheets.
Yes.
That was kind of fun.
Those were probably my favorite characters out of the entire show.
I enjoyed them. I did not enjoy the bones, by the way.
What?
I was going to ask about the dun skeletons because it was very Muppets movie style.
Yeah, it was like trying to be the Muppets movie, and it didn't work. It wasn't the right joke. It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't like Hare Krishna. Like that was funny.
I actually
this
really
wasn't.
like. I think I even maybe a little belly laugh on those.
Dun, dun.
Well, I like that they were like. They had a lot of back and forth, and the back and forth was that whole breaking like fourth wall in a way by talking to each other in the middle of the scene, and it's like, I don't know. I thought that was fun.
It was okay. I didn't hate it. It was like, all right, it's enough. Once is enough. Thanks. I don't need it to be the running joke. Have something else be the running joke.
Oh, as
Just
long as it
that.
wasn't the goat. I'm not a big fan of that goat.
I just like to Pepe and ask him what's your problem? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, that's what I like when he just brought that up. It's like, dude, what is wrong? Like, what's your issue?
Right.
And I feel like that was a good joke to me with Pepe.
I do like Pepe.
I will say, go ahead.
No, I said I do want to own Gonzo's suit though. I'd like that in my size. I did like that red look.
Okay, it's a nice suit. Yeah,
I believe it.
maybe I don't wear suits. I don't know.
I will say that I think the running joke with Pepe and wanting to meet celebrities got a little old after a while. Like, I felt like he was kind of hammering that in. Like, okay, we get it. You want to see a celebrity. Like, yeah, this is... Like, they almost pushed it too much to where it almost, like, ruined that joke completely. Until he saw John Stamos, and then the joke was done, which I was glad that it finally ended at some point.
There you go. No, there you go.
Yeah. So, should we get to ratings, or do we have more to add?
No, I think that's it. It was that dead cat bounce. It's okay.
So, Trevor, what would you give this a rating on?
I feel like I didn't hate the time that I watched it for 45 minutes.
Right.
But I feel like I could have spent my 45 minutes doing something better, so I'm just going to say 5.
Okay.
I'll go next. I'll probably go with you on the 5 as well, because it wasn't quite the quality that I was hoping for, and it wasn't something that I felt like I was going to revisit anytime soon. It's no Muppets Christmas Carol. Muppets Christmas Carol held such a high standard for me with it when it comes to Muppets that this is way lower than that. So I'm gonna give it a 5. It was still entertaining, but it just wasn't enough to keep me coming back.
Wow, I'm
Jared.
surprised I was higher than you two.
No, see, I'd say like a 6 or 7, but that's just because I got all the small, like, little...
Right.
It could have been better. Like, they could have actually made this into a Muppet Christmas Carol. Like, they could have made this into a good movie, which, again, I like better than Eddie Murphy, because Eddie Murphy tried to fit every Haunted Mansion version in one film. Like, I like this one. Like, this is it. Here are all the main points to it. And I liked it. I like that all the old... dead Muppets nobody ever sees anymore came back. That's why I say about a 7 for me.
Nice.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd even say it's a 7 as a Haunted Mansion movie, but a 3 as a Muppets movie. And so that's why it comes out as a 5.
It's in the middle. Okay.
I will piggyback off that all day long. Yes.
That's well said, yeah.
Yeah, because they nailed the music for a lot of the scenes that had the actual music from the ride. You can hear it in the the organ noise. I was like loving that.
Nice sound.
Oh, dude, I loved
that. Was a great
I loved it.
rendition.
Like that got me so excited because I felt like I was on the ride. Like they encapsulated the ride in this film, but it was hindered by low quality Muppet stuff. And I hate to say that because I really would have loved to have had Muppets be like super like Oh, it could have been so good. It really could have been good.
No, I think to me, like the one thing I'm taking away from it as well is I don't think Disney also had a lot of faith in it. I feel like this is their beta test Muppets. Like, okay, let's see what else we do. Because if Disney loved something enough, I'm pretty sure we would have seen all the toys, all the stuffed animals, anything. They would have merchandised the heck out of it.
Merchandising. Yeah.
Merchandising. They would have done the shorts with it. Really easy.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking about that last night when I was rewatching. I was like, oh. I'm like, yeah, because I even went on Disney.com. Like, there's nothing regarding it. Just nothing really Muppet-wise. And I'm like, okay, so this is a beta test for them. Like, okay, let's see if it gets enough views. Let's see if we can do another one. Maybe Muppets Splash Mountain. Muppets, take another ride or something different from Muppets. Like Muppet Star Tours.
That's actually pretty interesting to think about because, yeah, let's say that they did put the time and effort into it. They could have made a good amount of money just on the merchandising alone. Because every time that you exit a ride, there's always a gift shop at the end of a ride. I mean, to have, like, Gonzo or Pepe dressed in their haunted mansion outfits, people would go, oh my goodness, we watched that right before we came here. Let's get that toy. Let's get that Muppet.
I probably would buy it. Even though I didn't like the show, I probably would buy it.
Dude, totally. Yeah, but imagine if this actually had the type of budget and time put into it, like the actual care and love that other Muppets properties, like, and I mean, I don't want to go as far back as Muppet Takes New York or anything like Manhattan,
right?
Because, I mean, God, that was what, in the 80s or yeah, that was 80s that came out, and I think everything after that was just kind of like nobody really clung to it after the 80s.
So here's my thoughts, because I've been thinking about this. I've thought about this for a long time, not just because of this episode, because I'm like, people keep trying and failing with the Muppets, is that I think the Muppets were just created as a product of the time. Like, I don't know if you can get the magic back, because I don't think the magic was meant to be... not that it wasn't meant to be long-lasting, but like if you watch those older movies, it's like there's just a feel back then. Like it was almost like stoner type media. Like it was, very kind of goofy. Like everything was grungy. Like all the Muppets are dirty. Like if you look at Muppets now, they're super clean. Like just very choice. And you watch those old movies, I'm like, no, they're like dirty, like little things, like a shag carpet came to life and like became this Muppet.
Oh my god!
And I think that's what it was. It was just more like this, just laid back, kind of like goofy silliness that just doesn't really exist in the world anymore. So I think it was a product of the time, and it's sad that Jim Henson passed because he was a visionary, and it's just not the same without him. I don't think it will ever be.
Wow,
that's a good point. Especially because a lot of kids' stuff these days is just 3D CGI. Like, the most popular thing is Paw Patrol. And there's all these, CGI. Like, basis on that.
Yep.
But even not just Paw Patrol. I mean, even the Mickey Mouse Club now is all CGI. I mean, just about everything on the Disney Channel that is geared towards children is CGI. And even whenever I said to my wife, I said, hey, Stace, I've got to watch... this movie for the podcast, she was even like, nah, she has no interest in the Muppets. And she's a product of the 80s. Like, she was born in, well, I can't say that because a lady doesn't tell, right?
She was born in
that year, right? But that's the thing is, like, even people like her, like, she doesn't care to watch the Muppets now. Like, I feel like there's such a niche audience who enjoys it.
Trevor. All right, Alex. Yeah.
And Jared, you're one of them, man. You are like I said, you're my only Muppet fanatic that I know.
Yeah, it's true. And they're not the same. I mean, Jim Henson was going to sell the Muppets to Disney when he was still alive. Like, they were planning on selling it to him in the early 90s. Like, Disney was going to create an entire section of Disney World for him.
They did! It's called Muppets 3D. They had a whole section.
They were getting, like, Fantasyland, there's going to be, like, a Muppet section. There's going to be Muppet Land. But,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, there was, like, that's how Disney was. So we would have, I mean, it would have happened eventually, sooner than later, actually, because what they wanted to do, but Eisner went greedy and wanted Sesame Street 2 and all that as well. But it's a whole other story. But no, I don't know. Like, Disney really mucked up with the Muppets. They tried to bring him back, which I loved when they did the Muppets, when with Jason Segel did the Muppets. I love that movie. Thought it was super great. I liked Muppets Most Wanted because they straight up in the beginning of the movie said, "This is a sequel. It's gonna suck." Like, they're like, "No sequel's as good as the first," and I loved it. So this is true. It's like, I just feel like Disney's trying again. We're like, well, we had a success like 10, 15 years ago when we revamped them. Let's do it again, but let's not put too much into it. Let's not focus too much, because we don't want to put too much money into a Muppets, and we can put money into Star Wars or another ride-based movie.
Right. Well, here's a question for you guys. Is there a future for the Muppets in this day and age, the way we look at it now?
I think there's always going to be.
I may not like it, but yeah.
I think it's going to be what it is now. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
Like 40, 45 minutes. There's not going to be an epic movie. Muppets take Muppet Christmas Carol, Muppet Caper. There's never going to be another one.
Yeah.
It's going to be, let's give them a Christmas special.
Muppets go to Costa Rica.
That's what it's going to be.
I'm thinking of how Muppets Jungle Cruise would be compared to Jungle Cruise with The Rock. That's what I've been thinking about now.
Oh, wow.
I forgot that movie existed.
What, Jungle Cruise? I haven't even seen it yet.
They've already greenlit a sequel to it.
But here's the funny thing is, with the Muppets, you can take these Disney properties, like, let's just say Star Wars, and do like what Family Guy did, or do what The Simpsons did, or do what Robot Chicken did, and instead make it more kid-friendly, so families could be like, hey, Star Wars is a little too violent for my kid, but here's the Muppets doing Star Wars. Or here's the Muppets doing Fast and the Furious. Stealing DVDs out of a truck. Fast and Furious was a really bad example. I'm so sorry for anybody listening.
I don't know why you just didn't go to Marvel, but it's okay.
I was going to, but for some reason I thought Fast and the Furious would be funnier, and it did not land, so... Good, thank you.
Yes. Well, any final thoughts on all this before we wrap up from anybody?
I say watch it. If you got kids, watch it with your kids. I think that it's good enough to watch with your children. Watch it one time during Halloween, and that's all you need.
I would only recommend it if you're a fan of the Haunted Mansion.
I would say if you don't have kids and you are a fan of the Muppets, you might be more let down than
to skip
anything.
Yeah.
Well, I think.
But I'm glad to have you on, Jared, though, to talk.
Yeah, Jared. Hey, how can people get a hold of you if they wanted to see more of your art or anything more about you?
You can go. I have an Instagram, Sad Sidekick, or my Etsy shop as well. If you want to do, I do custom designed shoes and prints and murals. You can go Sad Sidekick as well on my Etsy shop. I have links in my Instagram bio.
And they are fantastic too. He's a great artist. I love following him because when he does post, it's always something very neat and cool and different. And it's never the same thing, which is always a pleasure. Yeah. Very cool.
Awesome. Well, to everyone listening, if you have an idea, a suggestion of a Halloween spooky-based movie we should watch and talk about next, be sure to let us know. And until then, we hope you enjoyed, and we'll talk to you next time.
All right, prog out.
Adios, y'all.
Bye.